Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. This lady is a 7th generation Floridian. She is a 3rd generation mortgage banker. She is a licensed, active real estate agent. She is a social media influencer.
Yay.
Badass mom, badass wife. My new friend, Leslie Heimer. Leslie,
Yay.
Welcome to the Loan Officer Podcast.
Thank you for that intro, that glowing intro.
Yes.
I'll try to live up to all of those things.
No, that's this episode. I'm going to come right at the gates. I think I want to title it. We don't know what the content's going to be. You can have it all. Like, I'm an outsider looking in. You and I have known of each other for years because we both work in the same market.
Yep.
As mortgage loan originators. You got into business originally what year?
2002.
2002, but your mother was in the business.
Oh, yes. In the 90s. I used to answer the phones for her during my summers at UF and would listen to her sail and, talk about crazy things.
And your grandmother.
And my grandmother.
Wow.
Making loans.
So
in
I
the
love this.
60s.
3rd generation female mortgage banker. I couldn't imagine for your grandmother how rare that was.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Because you fast forward 4 decades, and it's still too rare.
It's still
too rare.
Really is.
Yes. And then you recently became an active real estate agent.
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh. Our audience is going to love to learn from you.
I'm excited.
They are going to love. I want to talk about your story. I want to talk about what you've learned, and then also what advice you would give to whether it's younger, newer realtors. It could be younger, newer loan originators, or just entrepreneurs in general, because you have a pretty extensive social media following.
I do.
Right? 20,000 plus
I work really
followers
hard.
just on
Yeah,
Instagram, right?
Instagram, yeah.
And do you do TikTok as well?
I do. Isn't that like hashtag embarrassing?
No, it's awesome.
But it is so fun. My family rolls their eyes. I'm like, guys, let's make a TikTok. And
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, no.
Because your master's is in marketing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your undergrad was in?
Journalism.
Journalism.
At UF.
Okay.
Go
And
Gators.
by the way, for all of our people who aren't in the state of Florida, which is probably 90% of our listeners and viewers,
Super.
the University of Florida is very proud of their journalism program.
Really
Just
is a big
FYI. They are very proud of that. They also love their sports teams, although this year isn't the year you want
Yeah.
to talk about your football program.
Yeah.
Or even last year when my UCF Knights took it to y'all.
Yeah, we
In the
have
bowl
kind of
game.
not been, on our game. I mean, Steve Spurrier was there when I went to school there. So.
No, hold on. You're not that old.
Right?
Steve Spurrier was the coach.
Yes,
When-
right.
when you
That's what
were
I
there.
mean. My gosh, Dustin.
Because Steve Spurrier was a player there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's when we were awesome.
No, but you can have it all because you run multiple businesses,
Yes.
right? Because you have a marketing company, you have your real estate business, and then you run with your mom 3 mortgage branches, correct?
Yes. But I say my team
Your team
runs them.
Okay. Yes.
But yes, you can have it all with the right people and at the right time. I always ask to speak on the topic of like work-life balance and how to be a mom and have a business. And I always start out that presentation with an acronym of MYTH because it is a myth.
Okay.
You can have it all, but not at the same time. Sometimes I'm the perfect mom making like organic cupcakes for the class party, and sometimes I'm squealing in on 2 wheels trying to like get a loan estimate out and I'm late for pickup. You know what I mean? So some days I'm super present as a mom and some days I'm super present as the badass entrepreneur.
Yeah,
But-
and I love that. I've actually coached and taught like the pendulum. Because
Exactly.
very rarely does a pendulum sit still.
Exactly.
It's constantly in motion, as are
Totally.
our careers,
I
and
love that.
especially all the hats that you wear: wife, mom, realtor, marketing expert, badass mortgage loan originator.
Yeah.
And I recently, and I wish I remembered where I read this, but you know the yin yang symbol, right? It's black and
Black and
white,
white,
has a squiggly S is what I call it.
Right.
And that, it's funny, John, I just recently talked about Buddhism on a episode, and I don't even know if that's a Buddhist thing, but I do believe it's a Eastern culture thing. But what I read was about balance, and it's like the reason why it's not a perfect circle,
because it changes.
is because life is a balance. Your myth is that there's a balance. No, you
Totally.
can do it all and have it all.
Absolutely.
But
Maybe not in the same hour.
Yes, not in the same hour. I love that. Okay.
When I'm present with my kids, we're in it, we're unplugged and present, and I try to have that same focus at work.
Nice. So let's do this. Did you go to school knowing, well, my grandma and my mom are both mortgage bankers, so I'm going to do this too?
Dustin, not no, but heck no. And people always ask my husband and I, like, is that what your kids are going to do? And I'm like, no, I hope not, because it is one thing that I don't feel like our community talks about enough and gives enough credit to professionals in real estate and lending is how stinking stressful it is. We're not curing cancer. We're not like in the emergency OR, but our clients and our partners during the process think we are saving lives. It is a very, very stressful industry and position, and I think that if the expectation were set better, that people would have a better understanding going into it of really what it takes in terms of like mental toughness.
So what'd you do coming out of college?
I went to work for my mom's mortgage company.
Okay.
Yeah, my graduation present was shares in her company, and she wanted a return on her investment, and I thought I would just do that for a little while. I kind of helped build it. I made her first logo when I was in, it was just a little baby angel company. And then here I am, came out of college and helped her grow it, and then you just get, sucked in.
You get sucked in.
It is a very rewarding business. So you can't help but to love that, adrenaline that happens, the clients that you serve, how much the gratefulness that they feel at the closing table. It is such it can be very addictive.
Yeah, we call it you were bitten by the bug.
Yeah, right.
And we actually onboard newer professionals that way, and we let them know.
Interesting. I love
like,
that.
look, by month 4 or 5, if you haven't been
You're
bitten
either
by the
in or
bug,
you're out.
then you need to get out.
Yeah, because it's not in it.
Yeah,
You don't have the gear shifts that it takes.
I made crap money my first 2 years in the business.
Really?
And I had left I was still young, but I left a decent career that I'd started building for myself in TV advertising.
Mm-hmm. That was probably a good thing.
It was a great thing. But I remember the only thing that kept me motivated those first 2 years were two things. One, I was bitten by the bug. So I could come home every day and say I loved what I was doing.
Right.
Where I didn't love selling TV advertising.
Right.
And I had a really good, not even a mentor. I listened to a senior person speak at a conference for like 5 minutes. But my biggest takeaway that he shared, I don't even remember his name, was I wouldn't wish the first 2 years on my worst enemy.
Oh, wow.
But I can promise you, if you give it 2 years,
Yeah.
you'll be grateful that you did.
Yes, totally.
And so that was for me, and it sounds like for you, you got into it because mom kind of suckered you a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, got bit by the bug, and then there goes your journalism career.
Right.
Did you want to be in front of the camera, or did you want to write? When you were obtaining that degree?
I did think I would be an anchor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
You
but
are an
now
anchor.
sitting across from you and your voice, I don't know, Dustin, like, what was I thinking? My parents wanted me to go to law school, but,
Okay.
Because
your sister's the vet, so
right,
then
my
you're
sister's a
going to
doctor.
be.
Now I'm the sheep that didn't do any of the things. I'm like another loan officer, another mortgage banker that's on the phone during Thanksgiving dinner. Another one bites the dust.
Yeah. So you did that basically from 01 through 08, right?
Yeah, right out of college. It was kind of the only career I knew, which after 2008 didn't serve me well when I was like, I couldn't, when you have to sit across the table and when you have a small business, we had like 100 employees, it's friends and family. And when you have to sit across the table and like lay off your aunt, like, I am never doing this again. I want to work for the man. I want a 9-to-5 job. I want to sleep at night. Here I am, like 30, and I'd never had a job. I'd only owned this huge, in my mind at the time.
That is huge. 100 associates is huge.
It was a very lucrative and, blood, sweat, and tears operation that we built across Central Florida. So I just wanted to like.
What was the name of that company?
Premier Home Mortgage.
Okay.
It's my baby.
Yeah.
It really is and my mom and I, like, that was our baby. Anyways, my kids during all that time. So yeah, I just wanted to go work for the man. So putting together a resume that was like, by the way, I've been balancing P&Ls and, like, they're like, well, yeah, you can't get my coffee. I'm like, but I'd be really good at it,
Wasn't that crazy that you and I are in the same boat? In 2008, I was considering leaving the mortgage industry because I was like, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end.
Wow.
Everything's collapsing around me. And you reach out to go on these interviews. And I was trying to interview for like really good, high-end account management, account executive sales jobs.
Totally.
And they're like, oh, you don't have any sales experience. I was
You're
like,
like,
MF for what? I'm like, what? Do you not know what my job
Do
is?
you know who I am? Google
Yes.
me, bitch.
Yeah. I didn't even do that. I'm like, do you not know? But people just don't know
It was such a,
what a mortgage loan originator
yes,
did, at least the
Dustin.
way that you and I built our business.
Well, and I say all the time that we don't realize it's a very young industry in the grand scheme of things. I mean, most people went to the bank to get a mortgage.
Yeah.
So, in 2000s, it was kind of like, what's a mortgage brokerage?
Mm-hmm.
What is a correspondent lender? What do these companies do exactly? So it is a new industry, when you think about the big picture.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah,
That way.
yeah.
You used to go to your bank or credit
Yeah.
union
Oh, yeah.
up until the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 25 years.
Right. That's nothing.
Yeah. The way that you and I have known the mortgage
Right,
industry.
right.
I'm assuming, I'll ask you, how did you build your business, Leslie, when you were 22 years old, recent college grad, teaming up with mom?
Yeah.
How did you get out there and develop your following?
I just did all the organic, like shaking hands, kissing babies, president of the junior league, volunteering for everything that I could on every PTA board possible, literally just in my community, really tried to give back and make the right relationships. It's all about relationships. And still to this day, I mean, the pandemic is what made me focus on social media, because I was like, wait a minute, how am I going to be the rainmaker for my branch, because that's my job. I secretly don't do loans. Yeah. How am I going to make sure that my team have loans to work on if I can't be out in the community? So that is what made me like, well, I guess I got to do this cheesy, cringy social media mom thing.
Yeah. And so far, you're kicking ass with it.
Yeah.
At least it appears so, looking outside or looking in.
Well, that's the purpose, right?
It's interesting. I want to circle back to that, but you just said something that I want to make sure we clarify for the listeners or the viewers if you're on YouTube. By the way, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Stitcher, anywhere that you find podcasts in the audio only format, thank you. We would love a 5-star review. We'd love for you to share us.
Yes.
But if you want to watch us, like, Leslie's one of the best dressers I've ever met. So
Even wore my clear to close shirt.
even wore her clear to close shirt. So we do have a pretty awesome YouTube channel.
Super.
We're coming up on roughly 12,000 subscribers.
That's so amazing.
On our way to 30. 30's been my BHAG for the past year.
Okay.
I'm sure when I get to 30, I'm gonna want 100.
Yeah, of course.
But
Never satisfied.
please take the time to go log on to YouTube and subscribe to our channel at the Loan Officer Podcast. That way you can see Leslie and I as we're speaking and talking. But no, so you said something that I wouldn't want the listeners or the viewers to misinterpret.
Okay.
Because you said, my job is to rainmake. I really don't do loans.
Right. No, of course. My goodness, yes.
But at what point in your career did you get to that point? Because I'm assuming there was a point in your career where you were the best loan originator in the branch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. Yes, of course. I could talk, what's that little meme say that like once a subject you could talk about for an hour without prep? Like I can go down a rabbit hole of underwriting guideline, page 4 of the seller guides with anybody. But I even tell my real estate partners and clients now, like if I get stuck on a really hard problem, I have to call my quote unquote superior, who's my mommy.
Yeah.
Because this is a job of like snowflakes. There's never 2 loans that are the same.
Yes.
There's never 2 clients that are the same. Even though, I try not to be too boastful, but it is often like a law case. The only way you can argue with an underwriter or get an approval is to say, I had a deal like this one time 4 years ago, and they also had this unique income scenario.
Correct.
So it really is a job where experience just truly does still matter.
Yeah, no, and I wanted you to preface that because I will easily get on a soapbox, especially speaking to younger
you gotta
professionals. I'm like, no, you have to be
No.
the most badass technician first.
You can't sell in this job without knowing what you're talking about. We're not selling printers. There's hard questions. Even today, if we're out and maybe I just don't want to work on because we're with family or at an event, people will ask what I do, and it's almost like, oh, I'm a loan officer, and they're like, oh my gosh, can I just ask you a question really quick? So my brother, he started this business, but then his income, and I'm like, here we go.
And then deep breath.
Like, okay, because it is a life-changing scenario, and that was what made me get bit by the bug, because I was really like, people were crying at the closing table. Like, what a blessing. Like, truly, you are changing lives.
Yeah, but you jumped in at 22. You became the networking queen, made sure everyone knew
Exactly.
you,
Yep.
knew what you did, and knew how you could help them.
Absolutely.
And then
networked my face off.
And then they give you a lead. Then you'd probably grab mom. Mom taught
Yep.
you the business.
Absolutely.
It's a learn as you grow.
Learn as you grow.
Learn as you grow. But you
Feet to
became
the
then
fire.
really good
Yeah,
loan
I
originator, which then only exponentially grows those networking opportunities. Because now when you speak, you sound different than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then people want to trust you more. They want to refer you more. And you did that all the way up until 2008. Market comes crashing down. I'm assuming you and mom shut down that particular business.
We did.
And you said, peace out, mortgage industry.
Yeah, I was like, Mom, I am young enough to still have, a second career. Like, I'm going to do what I always wanted to do. Like this, I just can't anymore. It was just, even today, I still say I have PTSD. Like, that was a crazy thing to go through. And I loved one of your questions, Dustin, about what would I tell my 25-year-old self? Because
Yes.
I was about that age at that time.
Okay.
And I was like on like the finalist for like The Apprentice. Trump,
Oh,
like,
no
it was
way.
like a
Yeah.
big dog.
Yeah.
Like, here we go. Made more money probably than any 20-something-year-old should. Certainly more than I probably could have handled or processed.
Oh,
And-
did you also act like it was going to continue for the next 25 years?
I was not those guys
Okay.
on the short. But when I see that, I'm a little the movie,
Yes.
because
The
I'm
Big
like,
Short, yeah.
Did they worked for me? Like, those two guys definitely worked for me.
Yeah.
No,
By
I
the
mean,
way, it's a fantastic book.
it's a great book.
It's a great movie, but it's a fantastic
Yeah,
book.
it is.
The Big Short.
The
I
more
think
you
it's-
read it, the more you're like, oh man, like, yeah.
It's
no.
true. You and I lived it.
Yeah, we did. And no,
Okay.
but my parents wouldn't, they made me a little bit better about that part. But it would have been easy to. But I tell myself all the time, I was in a small town, networking queen, knew everybody. But there is, when you were in the brink of that happening, because you're in such a vacuum, head down, it was hard to see the global impact of just how enormous this perfect storm of this economic crash was. And I wished at that time that I would have been more vulnerable to ask for help.
Okay.
And I think that was such a good lesson learned at that time. I certainly had plenty of influential friends that owned companies and businesses, and instead of saying, yo, I need a job, like for real, like instead of doing that, we had a plan already to like move to Maryland and my husband's hometown and follow kind of his golf. But I wished that I would have just allowed myself to be more vulnerable and not like take on shame or feel embarrassed about that. But at the time you're just young and you're like, oh my gosh, how is this happening to me? What did I do? How could I? But in retrospect, I think that that's an important lesson for people, just to, even if you're vulnerable, you're helping someone else by saying like, it's okay to ask for help.
I love that. So that's career advice, right? That is
That's
a
great career
20-year career veteran looking back on her 25-year-old self saying, I wish
Yeah.
that someone had told me it's okay to ask for help.
It's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Like if you grow up with entrepreneur parents, you're like, bootstrap it up, you're fine, let's go. No, like, I needed help, and I think that is important I would love our kids to have that message that, use your network, use your relationships, and show, listen, I'm in a spot.
That is crazy because your mom, total entrepreneur, your dad, rancher,
Yeah.
farmer.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, toughest people in
Yeah,
America.
like, you're fine.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
fine.
Rub some dirt on it.
Right.
But Dad, that's my pinky, and I'm pretty sure it's gone. Rub dirt on it.
Rub dirt on it. Some tobacco to get the sting out.
Oh.
Is that a real thing, right? To get the bee sting, to put tobacco on it?
I mean, just put in a big fat dip and spit on my hand?
No,
I mean,
you're supposed to get like rolled tobacco and put it on a bee sting.
I don't know. I didn't grow up in North Carolina where they had rolled tobacco.
know.
We have citrus in Florida.
Yeah.
And cows.
Right.
Lots
right.
of cows and
no,
lots
it's
of
a thing,
citrus.
Dustin.
Okay.
Now you know.
I trust
Viewers,
you.
you're welcome.
I was today years old when I learned that next time a bee stings me, I need to go find some.
unroll a cigarette and put.
But that's dried tobacco. I
Oh,
think you
I
have to
don't
find
know.
the wet.
I'm not a good
sticky-
tobacco. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah, I kicked my tobacco habit almost 14 years to date.
Nice.
It was right before my 30th birthday.
Oh, I love how you're very benchmarky.
Yes.
Like when I turned 30, when I turned 40.
Oh, I am a
goal-oriented brain.
Yeah, so like my new personal revelation is I need to quit being so goal-oriented
And cut off below. a little?
because I'm trying to become more Zen, more Buddhist-like.
I love that, Dustin.
And so like I had this goal. I went and competed in this Ironman competition, and
Next level.
now I'm like, now what?
Yeah, right.
I literally put on 10 pounds in the past month.
Jeez.
Because I had nothing else to
Because
compete
when you're
for.
Ironman training, it's like, oh yeah.
Well, that's also a thing. When you're Ironman training, I had to eat. I had to force eat
To
those last
fuel.
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I purposely took 2 weeks off, and I purposely let myself just let it
Chill
go.
out,
I went all
right.
frozen.
Yeah.
And then
Let it go.
unfortunately, yes.
Plus
there we
Thanksgiving.
Go. Well, and then I went my birthday, Thanksgiving. Yeah, so I am the heaviest I've been. My wife's like, shut up. You're
Yeah,
still in great
literally
shape.
shut your mouth.
But I'm the heaviest I've been in like 3 years right now. I mean,
Wow.
only by like 7 pounds.
Oh my
so
gosh.
we're going to
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah.
I was back in the pool today.
In women world, that's like a week.
What's that?
7 pounds.
Yeah, 7 pounds?
you're fine.
Yeah. And
Skip
luckily,
it.
as a 200-pound dude,
Yeah.
it's way easier for me to lose 15 pounds than like a 140-pound, 5'5" lady.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I feel for you women, but yes, I'll probably shed
Thank
mine
you.
in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I love your Zen mantra. My New Year's goal is I just finished reading the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's so
Ooh.
fascinating. It's pretty deep.
Breaking the habit of being yourself. Who's the author?
Dr. Joe Dispenza. I hope I'm saying that right.
Okay.
But my goal is to like begin a meditation practice next year. I've never done that. It feels very, I know like I'm not a touchy-feely he person, but like I really focused on manifesting and journaling in 2022 and like that shit worked.
Yeah.
Dustin, like that shit worked. I'm just saying. So that's my new goal. I just want to try this meditation thing and make my brain, my ADHD brain, like turn off and see what powers I can. Yeah. So that's my
love
New
it.
Year's goal.
I love it. Yeah. Journaling and meditating is on my list. It's nowhere near the top 5.
I love journaling. If I am mad at my husband or mad at something and I like journal, literally it will lower your blood pressure, change your mind, and you just can.
Have you been journaling for a while?
Oh yeah, my whole life. Like I have my journals from like high school. Like Kiss
Wow.
Johnny Joe. I'm going like, and they're cool to go back and read. You know how when we were growing up was when they first started giving you planners.
Yes.
So I would use those as like little notes and, girls
Yeah.
doodle. And then I did the Stephen Covey method all through like early. And when you had your little 2002, 2003, and you would save them. Yeah.
Is Stephen Covey Win by Noon? Or is that someone else?
Franklin Covey, which is the
Okay.
brother, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I get it all confused.
I know.
I like it
I
all.
like systems. I like buy into the process.
So let's jump into that because we've gotten as far as 2008. It crashed. Had a ton of success though.
Yeah.
When you and your mom, what was the size of the company when you were
Oh, we had 5.
5?
Yeah.
So you all grew up from 5 to 100.
Yeah, like
between
103.
01 to
2008.
8
9.
ish. Okay.
Yeah. Hope is not a strategy. That's my other thing I
Hope.
learned.
I hate using the word hope. I use it more often than not, but I catch
Because you
myself.
just kept thinking it's going to get better and I won't take a paycheck and I'll put my own personal funds back into the company because these are my family and friends and I'm going to make sure that they get a paycheck. And then, so hope is not a strategy. That's my other entrepreneurial lesson learned. Like, you got to make hard decisions swiftly.
So you pivoted out. At that
Pivoted out.
point, you said, you know what, let's lean into my husband's career, which was a professional golfer at the time.
Right.
Moved to Maryland, where he is from.
Where he's from.
And was it up there that you also obtained your master's in
Yes.
marketing?
Yep.
'Cause-
Finished that. My husband went back to his home golf course with the assistant pro, gave lessons, really focused on opening a golf academy, which was cool just to see him like, I had been the primary income earner. My husband is so wonderful. He's like my manager. He's the one who's like, you need to get your real estate license and stop. You are a badass. He's such a but he would be a stay-at-home dad if he could. He was
Okay.
the primary parent when our children were young because
Yeah.
I was a mortgage lender.
Yeah.
Like
You're out there making it rain.
Right.
Like literally making it rain dollars.
literally.
And leads.
And leads.
Yes.
So it was so wonderful to see him have that. But yeah, so we did that for 6 years. Then we moved back to Orlando, and I was
By
like,
that time, the market had gotten
and
normalized again.
My mom never left.
Okay.
And she was like, I'm just saying, if you wanted, to open a ranch, I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. Let me go to my therapist to say the word mortgage again.
Does your mom own American Liberty?
No.
Because
Nope.
you are a loan officer with American Liberty.
Yes.
Okay, but
And-
you all just run 3 branches
Exactly.
that you operate.
Again, in today's Dodd-Frank post, we're like, it's not a goal to
Yes.
own.
No.
We had to like foreclose on properties, and we were in Polk County. We had properties that were waiting to be foreclosed on that had copper pipes being ripped. I mean, it was.
Oh, these were loans you owned.
We owned some.
Oh.
It was.
Okay.
We were in deep.
You were all in mortgage lender.
We had a mortgage lending company and 7 mobile home floor plan companies throughout the country. Sunovation Homes was our company, and Capital Funding, where we funded short-term construction loans.
Wow.
And a title company.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
you were.
I mean, it was our family business.
Yes. And it's crazy that when that
All the
ended,
things.
that people would look down on you because you're like, I have more experience than all three of you in this boardroom right now.
Yeah.
If you just knew what it was like to run a business.
Yeah, right.
Run a company.
Run a company.
Because you end up for anyone who's never even run a branch, I'm just gonna throw it out to you. When you run a branch, because you have to think about this, you are now the head of HR, you're the head of IT, you're the head of janitorial duties.
All your accounting,
you're the receptionist,
all your payroll,
like
all of your expenses.
yes, and that's for any business, right? If you're a badass landscape designer,
Right, you're
working
still
for someone else, but you want to go work for yourself.
You got to scale, you got to manage people, like all the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why you're like, I love where I am today.
I would, yes.
You love where you are today. How much time are you spending with your marketing company? I want to talk about that a little bit.
I have such a great team of fantastic millennials that know way more than I do, and my social media became so time consuming that I'm like, I can't do this by myself anymore, so I need some help. So I just kind of spun off this Views Social, a social media company where I have 4 part-time, 1 full-time social media managers and marketing experts that graduated from college or are in college in that, discipline. And yeah, we just help small businesses, mostly me.
Yeah.
But,
So you own a
social media management company.
Social media management company that was born out of COVID. Is that correct? Or was it pre-COVID?
It was probably conceptualized out of COVID.
Okay.
But probably it was only been born a year ago.
Nice.
Just formalizing it, you know what I mean? And let's understand who our customer is going to be, who's our small business, how big of a business can we handle, like when, the timing, and, our model, what's our, platform going to look like in terms of our fee and that kind of thing.
Because you weren't into social media prior to COVID?
I will say that I've been an early adapter.
Okay.
In Facebook, I wanted to maximize my Facebook friends. I remember my mom saying well, who cares what I had for lunch?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so 10 years ago,
right.
you saw the power of having a Facebook account and not just having the 100 girls that you went to high school with.
5,000. I will be the first one to reach my max, and I did. So I will say I've always been an early adapter because I knew there would be, if I'm a networker, and the more people who know what I do helps me sell, well, obviously, the more people who know don't. But Facebook was back in the day, you know what I mean? When you just put pictures of your kids and you're like, should I be putting pictures of my kids? So I will say, in terms of understanding social media, I have always tried to be early in.
So through your personal Facebook page,
correct,
for the past decade, I'm assuming you've probably pulled 10 to 15 leads a year and closed 5 or 6 transactions every year just by being you.
Sure.
Just by posting and having the most friends.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Which that's something that we coach and teach through the podcast. And I'm like, guys and girls, we're a decade into this and you still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So I got to a point just recently, I was at a sales rally where we were presenting to a group of 70 LOs. And I told them, I'm not calling it social media and you're not allowed to either. I love that. Because no one likes the media.
Right.
And at this point, as a parent, I freaking hate social media.
Right. Yeah.
When I look at my children and how they're consumed by it,
right.
I said, but I love to network.
Right. It really
and
is.
I don't
just
mind.
that.
I don't mind networking online.
Right. And when people push back on me, my team, when I'm training or trying to coach in a workshop, they're like, but I just don't want to go. Do you go to the grocery store? Do you show up in life? It's the same thing.
Yes.
If they're worried about how they look on video, I always say, well, guess what? That's how you look.
Yes. And that's how you sound.
and that's how, right.
You're not making it for you.
Right.
You're not making this for you.
You're just being you. You can't be anything else other than you. You just can't.
So you were doing at least Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. Then
your
LinkedIn,
videos.
I got into, you just,
Okay.
Yeah. Try to learn all the things.
Yeah. Because you have 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. I hate that follower thing.
I know.
So I always do that the trick of I did it to you recently. I clicked and the 3 little dots and it says connect.
Oh, and you're like, they saw me looking when.
No, I want to connect. I don't want to follow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, connect means I want you to see me and you.
Oh yeah.
Follow
on
just means hey,
I'm
you're an influencer and I want to follow what you're posting.
I know. I want to connect. I like to engage and know.
I was trying to find your cell phone number.
Oh.
Honestly,
was it on there?
No.
Oh, it should have been. I'm an oversharer.
Was it? Yeah.
Probably is
Okay.
somewhere.
Yeah, because I wanted to call you to do some prep, and we didn't get a chance to do any prep,
Yeah.
which is fine. We sat here for 15 minutes before
I
we turned
know.
on the
We could
mics
talk
and the
all day
cameras
long.
and started going hard at it. When did you start? Because, well, first, what's your Instagram handle is?
At Leslie_Heimer, Heimer.
LESLIE_Heimer, HEIMER.
Yep.
At Leslie_Heimer. Y'all need to go follow her because her
Yay.
shit's legit. It's like really awesome, well
Dustin,
done.
That's so nice to hear from you,
So
of all people.
if you want to
Truly.
swipe and adapt, which I'm a big fan of,
Swipe and adapt.
Nothing we talk about on this 200 plus episodes has ever been original content. Maybe the way I deliver it could be original, but the actual meat and potatoes is swiping and adapting. So I'm telling you, y'all need to follow Leslie. You need to swipe and adapt what she's doing because somehow she has 20,000 followers
So when you
on
say
Instagram.
swipe and adapt, you mean kind of like in marketing how you just borrow ideas.
Yes, mimic. Yeah,
I
mimic,
like
steal.
swipe and adapt.
Yeah,
You
swipe
give
and
me some
adapt
good
is
words
nicer.
today.
Swipe and adapt is way nicer.
Yeah, because there's no
than
new
say-
marketing. It's
No.
all borrowed.
This is a Rick Ruby. You and I were talking about Rick earlier, but this is a Rick Rubyism. If it's true, it's not new. If it's new, it's not true.
Yeah, totally.
And so much of life, I'm not saying that there aren't innovators, right? There are going to
Yeah.
be the Jeff Bezos of the world, and there
But
are
we're
going to be the
all-
Bill
yeah.
Gates of the world. But for the most part,
Yeah.
we're not them.
We're not. Yeah.
We
right.
talk about them because they are the outliers. By
Right.
the way, awesome book by Malcolm Gladwell. It's
Ooh,
Outliers.
good one. Okay.
But most of us are pretty normal,
Yeah, right.
right? So all we're
Swipe
trying to
and
do,
adapt.
yeah,
Please
swipe and adapt.
When I see other creators, and I can use that word, I've given myself some liberties to say that I am a social media expert and I am a content creator, which sounds like a little bougie, but when I see other creators adapt mine, I'm like, yay.
Yes. Yeah.
It's flattering and truly like, I want more content out there about things that matter instead of like selfie, blah, blah.
Are you following Neil deGrasse at all
No.
in our industry?
Neil deGrasse. Okay.
Yeah, I can't spell his last name. It's
I'll
Neil,
find him.
Neel.
Okay.
He's out of Reno, Nevada. He crushed it on Instagram, and now he's trying to teach the rest of the industry his formula.
I love it.
And and Neil, like any good business person, Neil went out and hired a coach. He's like, look, I'm not going to try to figure this out on my own. I'm going
Right.
to hire someone who already knows how to do it.
Yeah.
So everything from like the proper lighting, the proper angle, the hooks and the catchphrases and
copywriting.
the
It's
words, the
fascinating.
copywriting. Yeah. So and he's he'll charge you a couple grand, but you can join his mastermind and at a minimum, it's a good place for people to get started.
Yeah, I love that.
If you're trying to do it, but
Because we should do it better.
well, yeah, and you and I could do probably a three episode series
Totally.
on doing it, which we unfortunately don't have time for that today. But because you're local and I'm local,
I would
we
love
could do
that.
this on a regular.
Dustin, I would love that. I have so many just things that I've learned because the thing about social media is there is no expert. It's new. There is no master's degree in social media. And if there were, it's going to change
Well, correct.
in a year.
The algorithm.
Constantly
JC talks
updates
about the algorithm all the time.
And like unless you're studying it like deep and listening and learning and joining these masterminds, you can't keep up.
Well, it's crazy. I was looking at some of your reels. I'm like, holy cow, she has 25,000 here, 23,000
I
here.
have
And then
one
it's like,
that's almost at 1 million, but I've never broke 1 million. But I have one that is, and like the crazy thing is, whatever, I know we're getting off topic, but the trolls, like when I got my first troll, I was like, oh my God, I have a troll.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
he's
so excited.
being mean to me. Oh my gosh.
but then it's like, but then you have 50 on this one, or
Right.
400 on this one.
Right.
You're like, WTF?
Right. Wild.
It's the same person, the
yeah,
same style.
but you have to do the like A/B testing and see what hashtags, what music, what time of day, like all the things. It's such a study every time.
Well,
really is.
Let's plan on just doing a whole
love
entire
that.
episode where we lean into that. What I want to know is when you found out because of COVID lockdowns that you couldn't go out and be the networking queen,
Mm-hmm.
getting face to face and belly to belly with people, you leaned hard into creating video content.
Yes.
And we just pimped out your Instagram, and that's the best place to go see. I'm sure the TikTok videos probably mirror the Instagram videos.
Yes.
But I want to know your results.
Yes.
How long did you have to stick with doing the videos before?
Longer than you think.
Like months, weeks,
Years.
years.
Yeah.
So that first year,
Yeah.
do you remember how many followers you had on Instagram when you
Yeah,
first started?
I first started around like 1,500 because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. We're
Yep. Mm-hmm.
in town. We're old.
Yes.
Lived a lot of life, and it was just such a slow. I didn't have like overnight 10,000 followers like you hear some creators. It's a slow like agonizing, painful, very time consuming, a lot of brain power. But I say all the time to others in the industry, like I've never run out of content. And I have a process with my team that I send them like the content and just kind of mind dump. Because in our business, wow, every day is so dramatic. Every day is content. It's fascinating.
I was going to say the content comes from the conversation you last had.
Right. It's
Truly. The last realtor you spoke with, the last builder you presented to, the last borrower.
Right.
Or if you sell life insurance, or if you're a golf instructor.
Yeah.
Like
find your
literally
niche.
Whatever the conversation you had today is going to make great content, because you probably answered a question for someone because you were a subject matter expert at something.
And it's really fascinating how like niche it can get. And nowadays I feel like I don't Google anything anymore. I TikTok search it.
Wow.
Like even from recipes to like the best skincare routine before bed.
TikTok, not YouTube.
No.
TikTok.
No.
JC, take note.
It will be.
Because Leslie
fascinating.
is our prime candidate in terms of like, you are at a point in your life where every business wants to sell you.
Yeah.
Right? And so many
Okay.
people think TikTok is for 14-year-olds.
I know. And it
or
feels
24-year-olds.
like your word of like, don't use social media. Even saying the word, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a 40-year-old mom. I don't want to say TikTok. But it's changing the game.
Yeah. That's crazy. So takes longer than you think. How many videos were you doing?
I was only probably doing I was only doing 2 or 3 a week, and then I had to get out of my head. Right? And stop having these like professionally produced, curated, like just pick up the phone and do a video, the camera and do a video. And to answer your question in terms of leads, I began to see like questions in my DMs.
Okay.
And then what the part that I didn't realize, I wanted new leads and new followers. But what you are missing when you only focus on that are the people who you already love you, and your friends and your family, your network that already follow you are going to remember to refer you more. That is what happened more than just getting new leads. Johnny Joe would say, oh my gosh, Leslie, by the way, I ran into so-and-so and I just saw your video, so I told them to call you. Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So, and the new followers, sure, like I would get, 2 or 3 new leads a month.
Okay.
Then maybe 1 or 2 a week.
Okay.
But for the most part, my people I just was more top of mind.
And where are you now in terms of your video creation? Are you doing 2 a day, 1 a day?
1 a day.
One a day.
my
Reels
gosh.
or videos? Or do you intermix?
Reels.
Reels only.
And which is fascinating. I never would have dreamed in all my life, but my husband, I was actually on a girls' trip in Switzerland, said, we just got some direct deposit from Meta. What is this? You're out of the country. Like, should I be concerned? And Instagram had made me eligible for Reels bonuses. And like I got paid $100.
Oh, look
for
at
how
you
many
go.
views I got on this video.
That must have paid for 1 carafe of wine when you were in Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. So little by little, they're trying to compete with TikTok. So they are paying creators to make authentic, what's it called, UCG, user-generated content.
Oh yeah, I mean YouTube, which is owned by Google, is competing against Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook, which is competing against TikTok, which is owned by China.
I know. I hate when my brother-in-law, he always gives me stuff about it.
He calls you a communist?
Yeah,
Because of your
pretty much.
TikToking?
Yeah.
Good
It's like,
for him.
what's happening? And
Good
I'm
for
like,
him.
I know.
Yep,
I don't know.
supporting that communist regime
right,
over there.
Right.
But no, it's very fascinating, and it's obviously worked. And you answered my question, which was how many leads you get.
Yeah.
Because don't talk to me about your cool marketing idea
I know.
unless you talk about the leads, and then also what do those leads convert to? Because I care about dollars.
And listen, they're not all converting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just try to keep it real. Like, it's a lot of work. There is no bullet. There's no fast bullet. I could also spend a lot of time, in the community
teaching a lunch and learn,
teaching a
or
lunch
cold
and
calling
learn.
realtors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So find what you like and be consistent and authentic, and then just stick with it, and it will start to convert and generate this many leads, turns in this many closed loans, turns in this many relationships. But it also gives you a lot of credibility as a thought leader, and it truly, in my mind, does. My philosophy is that back in the day, if you learned about a new, loan officer, realtor, business owner, you would see if they had a website to know if they were legit. No, I don't care about your stupid website from the 90s. Are you showing up on social media? Because
100%.
otherwise, what are you hiding from?
Yeah, you and I could we could teach a course, like a 4-hour seminar.
Let's do
that
it.
would be fun.
That would be fun, Dustin.
That would be fun. We will do that at one point.
Love it.
JC talks about putting out in the universe.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it out in the
We're
universe.
manifesting it.
I'm already building the TLOP faculty.
Love it.
Right? We'll have people like you, Toby Moyle, Credit Christie, Mike
Love
Smalley.
those guys. They're great.
Brian Clute up in Wisconsin. And we could have like a true like faculty.
Badass panel. Yeah.
We could do
Love
our
that.
own 2 or 3 day
Totally.
sales event.
I feel like the community needs it. There's like so much that we've learned. I want to give that back. I don't want people
All right.
to have to do
well,
all the
let's
hard
continue
stuff.
having that
Yeah.
conversation as we put a little wrap or a bow. We're in the holiday season. Put a bow
Let's put a
on
big
today's
giant red bow.
episode. What I was going to say though on the social media aspect is I love what you said. You have to find what you like, find what you're good at, and do it and be consistent with it. I teach a course called Knowing Your Sales DNA.
Oh,
in fact, with
exactly.
next year being 2023, I was like, 23andMe.
23andMe.
Know your sales DNA.
Chromosomes.
But the point is, and I kind of swiped some of this from Zenix and Casey, where it's like there's 6 different ways to network and market
Right.
yourself. Pick 2
Yeah.
and do them daily
Really
and do
well.
them really well.
Totally.
It doesn't mean you don't dabble a little bit here and
Yeah.
there. Like if you don't want to use Reels and Instagram and TikTok to grow your business, it doesn't mean that you don't have an Instagram account. It doesn't mean that you
Right.
don't post.
You still have to
You
show
still
up.
you still have to show up. You still have to put on the name badge. You still have to put on your uniform.
Right.
Because people are going to be searching you.
Right.
But, you may choose to only do B&I or only do open houses or
Exactly.
only do lunch and learns. That's cool, but you still have to have that presence.
Yeah.
We don't have time for it, but I'm just curious. You got into real estate, what, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I do. I like some of the face-to-face. I like being, a lot of times as the LO, you don't get like the glory of the closing because you're just like back there making it happen, doing little things like funding the loan.
Yeah.
No big deal. So some of the face-to-face opportunities that I get with clients and meeting their kids and is, just more personal.
Okay. Are you willing to answer this for me?
Okay.
You
I'm an open book.
You
Justin.
can plead the 5th.
Okay.
Which is harder, real estate or mortgage loan origination?
Hands down. I mean, I don't want to say it because I don't want people to not be mortgage lenders because we need good mortgage lenders, but it's hard. It's a hard, you have to have a lot of brain power
To do
mortgage lending. It is a big brain job.
Which has better hours?
Yeah, I don't think, I think mortgage lending has better hours.
Which has better income potential?
That's hard.
Okay.
I do not know yet.
Okay.
And give me a 2-year average.
Yeah.
And because, it's a complicated question when you talk about our time and value that we bring because they both take a lot of time and every deal's different. You might close one deal in 10 hours and you might close another deal in 100 hours. So I'm all about my numbers. So I'm going to give it a good 2 years to see,
Fair
kidding,
enough.
hour by hour, what's my highest and best.
So I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
One is industry related, one is not industry related.
Okay.
The industry related question as it pertains to mortgage and loan origination. And if you don't answer this correctly, I'm kicking you off the show and I'm
You get
never
buzzed-
inviting you back.
Buzzed on my.
Would you ever recommend someone who doesn't have your tenure or your experience to attempt to be both a realtor and a mortgage loan originator?
No.
Thank
No.
you. Thank you.
It is a really tightrope,
Yeah.
funky place.
Yeah, I think
can't. Wouldn't recommend. Honestly, I wouldn't. If my mother were getting a loan, just like if my mother were getting open heart surgery, I would also only recommend them to a tenured realtor or a tenured lender.
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about that. If you're a newbie, be a newbie, an apprentice under somebody, but it's a big job and a big responsibility, and you can really F up somebody's loan.
Yes. And I'm glad you answered it that way. And I'm glad it's coming from you and not from me because people are probably tired of hearing me say this.
I hope that was the right answer.
No, that was the right answer. Yes. It's pick something and be great at it.
Yeah, no.
We're having you on and we're featuring you because, yes, you can have it all over a 20-year period of time.
You got to study. You got to
Right.
put in your hours. Like,
yes.
no.
You mastered
I
mortgage not once
earned-
but twice.
I earned this.
Yes. Now you're at a point where you've built out this team and this infrastructure. And what we didn't talk about is your husband Justin's behind the scenes at the mortgage
Right.
company.
Totally.
Helping hold down the fort so
Yeah.
that you can flex your experience
Exactly.
into real estate
Exactly.
to figure out, hey, is this something that we could also do?
Exactly.
Because
and I
my team and
respect
Justin
it.
are doing the loan side.
Exactly. And I respected that profession enough to make sure that it was a very calculated strategic move over years of planning.
All right, last question.
Dun, dun, dun.
What advice are you giving to your children? Primarily because you wished it was given to you.
Yeah.
And I know you gave out the one really good nugget.
To
right?
not be a mortgage lender.
Well, that was not a good nugget, by the way.
No, it's not.
That was just a fair warning.
Yeah.
No, the good nugget was to ask for help.
Yeah,
But is there anything else that you're like, gosh, I wish that was taught to me?
You know, as a child of the 80s and the awareness that we have in today in 2022, I was only given like direction or motivation or incentive to measure my success monetarily and financially, and I hope that my kids can find other ways to measure their success in peace and happiness and a lifestyle doing what they love. My husband is the guy who would rather live in like a camper if you got to play golf, like 10 cup. He's literally 10 cup.
Okay.
And I'm the opposite. I'm like, no, well, I want this house on the mountains and I want a house on the beach. And like he, over the years, have just helped me see how much better and happier a life is, so much richer if you're truly doing what you love. And that wasn't something that I felt like the first part of my career I had the opportunity to do. So I do want my boys to just do something that they love, even though I beat my kid over the head every day right now because he has to finish law school.
I love that you shared that. Right,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, know what ROI is or pay yourself first, which is things that we teach our children that I wasn't taught to me. The money aspect is always interesting because my whole life I've been money motivated. Like I grew up very blue collar. Mom's a school bus driver. Dad's an electrician. I'm an envious person, so I was envious of the kids who got to go to the Bahamas for spring break, and I'm like, I get to go to Daytona Beach for a free night because my parents sat through a timeshare seminar, you know.
And had a steak.
But I learned probably around 40 years old.
It took a long
It's
time.
not about the money.
Dustin,
However, one of my best friends was able to point out, he's like, but that's because you have money.
Yeah, right.
So then I've had to rephrase it.
Yeah.
You are correct. Some people, me, have to go make the money, save the money,
Right.
and then learn the hard way.
To be
oh,
happy.
Shit. It's not about the money, but I can say, we were talking about happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Making money is what makes me happy.
Totally.
So,
and there's nothing wrong with us admitting that. And
Yes.
I tell my husband that all the time. Like, yes, I am a workaholic.
Yeah.
I feel good crossing all that off my list. And I also can't beat him up because he feels good not
Swing
being a
golf club.
workaholic.
Yes, yes. So this has been awesome. So thank you for making the time, for driving across town.
Of course.
If people want to get a
Thank
hold of
you
you,
so much.
besides your Instagram handle, is there another way to get a hold of you? Your preference?
Yeah. I mean, I am checking my Instagram all day long, just like my text message. So,
Okay. So, hey, hit her up on IG.
Yeah, I mean,
slide into Leslie's DMs.
I mean, I could give you my like work number, my cell phone number, but yeah. At
How
the
about
end
Google?
of the day,
Leslie
Google me.
Heimer.
Google me.
American Liberty Mortgage or Stockworth Realty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'll find her.
You'll find me. Yeah.
Awesome. Her name is Leslie Heimer. I'm Dustin Owen. You have tuned in to Loan Officer Podcast. That is all the time we have for you today, but we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, Justin.